Hey guys, today's vlog is going to be simple and ironic. Simple because I'm only going to be discussing one topic as I ride home from the office, and ironic because I'm riding a bike home from the office and talking about foreigners driving in China. First, let me give you some context. I have been coming to China for probably over 10 years now. Driving, only 5 of those years. When I first came to China, traffic was worse than it was now, and it was insane. You know the word, oh shit rail? It's that strap on the side of a car that you hang on to on the passenger seat. Oh shit! It's the thing you grab onto when all hell's breaking loose. I was basically living on the oh shit rail when I was taking taxi rides or riding in a car in China. It was a scary experience. Lots of traffic, lots of bikes, lots of people, lots of craziness. And I made a promise to myself, oh, those many years ago, that I wouldn't be caught dead driving a car in China. Now, fast forward a few years, and I met Annie. Annie's my girlfriend, and she has a car. And she enjoyed me driving her car. She kind of liked me carting her around and asked if I could get a license. I thought at that time, I'd been in China a few years, I felt a little bit more comfortable with driving, so I said, why not? As an American, with an American license driving in China, I didn't have to do the physical driving test on the road. I only had to take the written test, which is about 150 questions at the DMV at a computer with a bunch of other people taking the driving test. And if I passed that test, they would give me a Chinese driver's license. So I went to the Chinese DMV, figured, I could do this. I know enough about driving. I've been driving for a long time by the time I took that test in the States, and I said, what could be different, right? Well, a lot. When I got to the DMV, I found out you have 2 choices to take the test. You can take the test in Chinese. Obviously, I couldn't do that. Or you could take the English test that was probably translated by someone whose English level was rudimentary at best. If you've ever heard the word Chinglish, it's a mixture of Chinese and English. It's basically a joke saying that people in China trying to speak English actually talk Chinglish. Well, this test was written in Chinglish. And at the time, my Chinglish skills were not very good. I couldn't understand anything on that test. It had convoluted words. A lot of it was improperly written in the first place. It was just really frustrating to read or to take. So I failed the first test. I went back to the office. I downloaded a copy of the Chinese test that I could find online with some sample questions. Figured I could prepare. I studied. I went back to the DMV, took the test again, failed again. I was humiliated. I couldn't even pass the Chinese driving test. Especially when you drive around on these streets and find out how crazy the drivers are in general, you start to question yourself. If they pass this test and I can't pass this test, what the hell is going on? I decided to take another approach. There's a loophole in taking the Chinese test as a foreigner, and it states that you can bring in a translator only to translate the questions and answers, but not to choose the correct answer. Basically, you can take the Chinese test with somebody sitting next to you, just guiding you along. Well, I decided to do a little tweak on that. I got one of my office staff to come with me to the DMV and sit next to me during the time I took the test. She would be the translator, but she would also be feeding me the answers. We couldn't do it publicly. We had to make it kind of a hidden thing. So the code was 1 tap for A, 2 taps for B, 3 taps for C, and 4 taps for D. And she would tap my knee for every question. So I would go, Question number 1, she'd read it kind of quickly in English. It wasn't really, she wasn't there to read the questions, and nobody at the DMV could really understand English anyways, so they didn't know what was going on. But she would tap me on the leg, 1, 2, B. The next question, 1, 2, 3, C. And it went on that way for about 150 questions. Needless to say, I passed, and I got my Chinese driver's license. Now I've been driving for over 5 years. I was so nervous about it in the beginning, but you do develop a strange sixth sense when you're subjected to so much craziness on a regular basis. And I found that I adapted pretty well to driving in China. It's kind of a mixture of extreme defensiveness and extreme aggressiveness. You have to have both, or else you're not going to get anywhere. For example, if you're not extremely aggressive, you won't be able to get anywhere. People will cut you off, move in front of you, stop in front of you, use you like a pawn in their game to get a little faster. It's going to be just a headache. On the other hand, you have to constantly be looking out for people cutting you off, getting in front of you, e-bike starting out, so you got to be completely defensive. It's a strange mixture of the two disciplines. Now, Chinese driver's license lasts, well, mine does, last 6 years. So then after that 6 years, you've got to renew it. Each license, as soon as you get it, has 12 points on it. And you have those 12 points to reduce to 0. At the point of 0, your license gets taken away. But fret not. If you are a speeder, if you are a lawbreaker, there is an option for you in China. Annie once got a speeding ticket. She didn't want the points on her record. So when she went to the DMV, there was a bunch of old people hanging out in front of the building. These old people held licenses with full 12 points on them and were auctioning off their points to people willing to buy them to substitute their infraction so that they would take responsibility for the infraction and then take the points on their own license. It's a very strange loophole. She went to the DMV, found somebody with some extra points, negotiated a price, and then that person walked in and in turn took responsibility for the infraction. Annie didn't have any points on her license, and the person that did take them doesn't drive anyway, so there's no real big deal or loss for them. It's kind of like a free way to make money for people with licenses that don't drive. I'm at an intersection. I'm about to introduce you to something really strange. These big heavy haulers that are hauling dirt and stuff out of construction sites have lights on them around the cockpit that point to the rear of the load. I don't know why they do this, but when you're driving alongside them, they blind you. It's crazy. That light right there. That light right there. If you're driving in your head height with that light, it's pointing right in your eyes, a white light. I never understood what the logic behind it was. I think they're trying to look for holes in their tires or flat tires, but I don't understand it. Now, you might be wondering how hard it is to get a ticket or get a violation in China. In some ways, it's too easy. In other ways, it's almost impossible. When I say it's too easy, it's because they have cameras in the weirdest places. First of all, on the highway everywhere, there's cameras, motion activated. If you go too fast, they snap a picture, they send it to your house, or Annie actually gets them texted to her phone. They have your phone number on file. A couple of times, I accidentally made a wrong turn. No one was around, but a camera took a picture of me, sent a text to Annie. Annie said, "Hey, did you turn weird at such and such street at 10 o'clock? I said, "Yeah." And they said, "You got a ticket." Another easy way to get a ticket is to leave a very popular bar spot in your car drunk. Certain nights, the police will set up a roadblock and stop every car, perform a breathalyzer, and if you're drunk, see you later, your license gets taken away. Yet, in my experience, there are some almost impossible ways to get a ticket. And that's where it gets really frustrating. You can almost never get a ticket if you're legitimately breaking the law with other drivers. For example, you cut somebody off, you do something reckless, you speed when there's not a camera around. Any sort of reckless behavior, you will never get caught because roadside police almost don't ever exist. You'll see people drive, oh, here's a truck with a light facing backwards. You'll see it right now. Check this out. So that white light points right in the driver's eyes. It's crazy. I have never seen somebody in all my years driving in China pulled over for a driving infraction. That's some sort of thing that they did while they were driving that made a police officer feel compelled to pull that person over on the side of the road and issue a ticket. And this is where the problem lies. Because what you'll find is that Chinese drivers will learn where the cameras are. They will learn where to and not to follow the rules to their own benefit. And so they're not technically law-abiding drivers. They're just law-abiding when they're not going to get caught. And they're actually quite good at not getting caught. So, as long as you can stay off the cameras, you can stay out of the drinking traps, you can be assured pretty much that you'll never have any sort of problems driving in China, no matter how bad of a driver you are. I've often said that the only way to fix this problem is to flood the streets with policemen actually ticketing people for breaking the law, and then allowing people to kind of say, oh, I better not do that again. Will it ever happen? I don't think so. Would China make a shit ton of money in taxes and in penalties? Oh, hell yeah. Anyways, I'm almost to the house. This is gonna be it for the vlog today. I will continue with something a little bit more creative tomorrow. But I think this is interesting, right? I could talk about certain aspects of China and how I've been affected by them. Kind of give you insight into my experiences, but also give you insight into how the Chinese system works. Have a good night. It's Friday. Don't party too hard. And if you do, and you're in China, don't be driving. And don't get yourself involved in any of those Chinese speed traps. Last thing you want to do is go to a Chinese jail. Tell me if there's anything else you'd like to know in China, because I'm actually recording this vlog because a few of you asked me about this, and I would love to kind of do more of these that are kind of more topical, and you might learn a little bit about what it's like here in China.